Hi guys, welcome back to our kitchen. I am Trish and today we're going to be making for you a cashew pear cream sauce that pretty much can be used on anything, but typically we use it on fruits that are harder to eat for us, like plums that can be kind of sour, right? Or some strawberries that are maybe almost out of season and they're not as sweet. You can use this sauce on it and still have your fruits and enjoy them. If this is your first time viewing, forgive me for not welcoming you at the very start. Welcome. Thank you for joining, and prayerfully you'll gain a blessing. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And as usual, guys, give the video a like if you gained a blessing. All right, I'm going to flip the camera around and get right into it. Okay guys, so these are the things that we'll need. First of all, you're going to need some pears, and these are Bartlett pears. No, you don't want to throw your pear out when the bruisings are all showing like this, because it's still good. It's just that it has a really thin skin, and so the bruising shows up as it ripens, but it's still very good and it's super sweet at this point. So I have about 3 of those cut up in here, right? And you want about 1.5 cups, or maybe a cup. I think this is a cup of cashew. Now typically the recipe calls for raw cashew, but I prefer toasted cashew. You know, soak your cashews and toast them. And I need a pinch of salt, a little bit of nutmeg, a pinch of coriander, a teaspoon of vanilla, and I have some water over here, and this is about 1/2 cup of water that I'm going to feed. I might use the whole thing, I might not. No, you want to just feed the amount of water to your excuse me, sauce until you get the consistency that you prefer, bearing in mind that when you put it on the refrigerator it thickens. Okay, you're going to need one of these size spatulas, so you can, if you're using a high-speed blender like mine that's big, you can get in and scrape out the nooks and crannies, right? But if you have one of those little cup-like ones, those are ideal. But high speed, yes, and a little bit of ginger. Okay, so that's all you'll need for this recipe. You know, guys, you're also going to need an airtight container. I have this one here that is perfect. Okay, so first thing I usually do is onto my pears I grate my ginger. And I'm not going to use all of this. You put to your liking. I like ginger. My children do as well. And so I'm putting in quite a bit. This is probably a quarter teaspoon of freshly ground ginger, and also some nutmeg. The original recipe does not call for any nutmeg, but I find that nutmeg picks it up a notch. So I'm putting in maybe a pinch of freshly grounded nutmeg. And literally a pinch of coriander powder, pinch of salt. Of course, you're going to be able to taste your sauce and see if it needs anything else. And I'm just going to eyeball a teaspoon of vanilla. I love vanilla, so that's probably a little bit more than a teaspoon. And then I'm just going to dump all of that into the blender. And then my cashew. The sister that taught me this, she used cardamom in it, but I'm all out of cardamom, and that does give it a special taste. By the way, this sauce, guys, it gives champagne. If you've ever had champagne, it gives a taste of champagne. So I'm putting in just a little bit of water. Like I said, maybe no, if your cashews are nicely soaked. Right now, my cashews have been soaked, then toasted, but I really should have soaked them again and allowed them to absorb some water. But if you didn't get a chance to soak them again, then you want to add maybe just 1/4 cup of water at first. and then you feed it with water until you get the consistency that you prefer. I'm just going to blend. Now you might want to use your plunger if you have to, right? To make sure, don't be so quick to add water right away. Use your plunger and make sure that everything is blended before you start adding more water if you think you need to, okay? Now mine's needed a little bit more salt, and it's the salt that brings out the sweetness of the pear. So just went ahead and added a pinch more salt, and that should do it. Okay guys, so this is the end product. I'll show you the consistency. It's almost like yogurt. And then when I put it on the fridge, it's gonna thicken just a little bit more, right? So I don't have a bowl of fruit. It's giving champagne taste, guys. Yeah. And by the way, I made a boo-boo. I actually used 4 of those Bartlett pears. I used 4 of those Bartlett pears. Actually, it's a little bit warm, just a tiny bit. So I'm going to leave it out to cool before I put it on the refrigerator. And yeah, we typically use this on Sabbath mornings when we're trying to have like a fruit bowl or so. So guys, we just dealt with some physical food over there. So here I cannot give up the opportunity to share some spiritual food. And today I chose Romans 13. I'll try to read as fast as possible for the sake of time. Romans 13 verses 8 through 12, and I'll read very quickly. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now the Lord is saying here, if we can keep the command of loving one another as he has loved us, it would cover a multitude of these lusts of the flesh. The coveting, right? Killing, stealing, bearing false witness, all of these, right, that are of the flesh. The Lord is saying, if we can love each other as he loves, has loved us or taught us to love, we would easily overcome these things, right? Of course, it's hard for us of ourselves to love, but he will help us. The Lord will help us. The reading goes on to say, love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. And that, knowing the time, that it is high time to awake out of sleep, right? High time for us to start adhering and putting some effort, right, into practicing brotherly love, genuine brotherly love, that is, right? And that knowing the time, that no, it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Guys, it's far time that we start putting some effort into and not slighting it or putting it aside, because the Lord is showing us through his word here, by just simply keeping that command of loving one another, it helps us to not practice a multitude of sin. And with that, I'm going to run. Hope you received a blessing. Don't forget to hit the like button and come back another time. Walk good. Bye.